Coming up on Midco Sports tonight, it's a high school hoops breakdown. That's our list topic for the week, and we'll reveal the top teams across the Dakotas. Then it's a new Midco magazine story featuring the unique connection on and off the field between the Minnesota Vikings and South Dakota. And finally, we'll preview tonight's live matchups on the hardwood, Oklahoma at SDSU in women's hoops, and Drake at USD in men's hoops. All of that plus much more, Midco Sports Tonight kicks off right now.
Hello and happy Wednesday, everyone. I'm Kelly Stewart, and this is Midco Sports Tonight. And since it is Wednesday, let's start off the show with today's list, which is the high school basketball rankings. We're going to list the number one teams in all classes that we cover in North Dakota and South Dakota. And we're going to start in North Dakota with the number one team in boys Class A. It's the Minot Magicians, who will be seeking an unprecedented fourth consecutive state championship. The Magicians graduated some great players, but Peyton Lamore and Alex Shimke will again have this team contending. In girls basketball, Davies comes in at number one. Reagan Linster is the leading returning scorer for the Eagles with 18 points per game. They also return one of the top guards in the state in Carly Kotzik. Tim Jacobson is now in his second year with this group, and they definitely have high expectations. In Class B boys, the Stanley Blue Jays top the list. Cousins Wyatt and Caden Hansen are some of the most exciting players you'll ever watch in high school. Just because of their athleticism and dunking abilities, they are so good. Wyatt is an MSU Moorhead commit and averaged 24 points and 8 rebounds a year ago. The Grant County Coyotes have two terrific players back to build on last year's fourth place state finish. Alexis Bentz and Taylor Rail both averaged double figures last year, and the experience of getting to state last year has become a huge motivation for this talented group. Well, to talk a little bit more about the power rankings, we bring in the man in charge of them, our very own Jody Norstedt. And Jody, coming up with these rankings really is never easy, is it?
No, it's definitely not. You have so many teams, especially when you're talking about Class B basketball, that really anybody in the top 10, top 15 could be worthy of filling out those top 3 or 4 spots. But I don't get paid to make excuses, so let's provide some bulletin board material, right?
All right, sounds good to me. We'll start with Class A in boys basketball. What makes Minot, the Magicians, your number one, Jody?
So this is a team that graduated 2 of the top players in the state last year, Justin Eng and Kewan Johnson. Both of these guys were named All-State last year. Both were very instrumental in the run of 3 state championships. Now you look for new faces to emerge. I think Peyton Lamore will take on a big role. Then you have guys like Lofton Klabunde and sharpshooter Alex Shimke with a putback there in the state championship game last year. Somehow this team just continues to reload, and that's a credit to the youth programs out there and head coach Dean Winchesky. This looks like another deep group. Let's take a look at the rest of my top 5. I put Century at number 2. Davies is my top team in the East at 3. I'll go with Shanley at 4. And Mandan at 5. West Fargo is probably the odd team out. They could be in that 5 spot too, with Joe Pistorius back in the mix leading the way. He's a young man that averaged 19 points last season.
Okay, so you have 2 teams in your top 5 that have already played each other. Mandan beat Century 63-58. It was a really good early season battle over the weekend. What did you learn from that game?
Well, I learned that both these teams are going to be really good. Keep in mind, it was the first game of the season, so I think both coaches would agree they have some work to do, but this is a good start. Trey Steckler, nice putback there. He's one of those guys that Mandan will rely on along with his twin brother Cameron. That was a big win for the Braves right off the bat.
All right, well, that's enough for Class A talk, but I want to get your thoughts on Class B. So we'll take a look at your power rankings. Stanley is your top team, followed by Carrington. Then it's Beulah, Shiloh Christian, and Thompson rounding out the top 5. The defending champs from Hillsborough Central Valley aren't even on the list, Jody. What gives right there?
Oh, someone has to provide the bulletin board material. We just mentioned it, right? Remember, I picked their football team 4th in the preseason, and that turned out pretty well for them. But in all honesty, the Burros just lost a lot of great players off that championship team. Kyle Henningsgaard, who hit that memorable game-winning shot in the title game, he's playing at Lake Region State in Devil's Lake. Austin Reed is gone. I do think they're going to be a contender, though. I have them at number 8. You can check out the full top 10 on midcosn.com. Jack Camroot is a beast in the post. We saw him on the offensive and defensive line for the football team. Carson Henningsgaard, he'll take on a bigger role. Their JV team lost only 1 game, I believe, last season. But if they want to make state, they'll have to earn it because Region 2 is loaded. Thompson and Grafton will be in the mix too. Now, as far as my number 1 team, Stanley, I picked them because of the Duncan cousins, Wyatt and Caden Hansen. Look at this video, guys. Unbelievable the athleticism that these two have, but seriously, both of them are seniors. Wyatt has verbally committed to play at MSU Moorhead after averaging 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 blocks per game last season. His cousin Caden stands at 6'6" and averages 14 and 9. They play an exciting brand of basketball, and I think getting to state last year, getting that taste, will really help them going forward.
All right, well, we're looking forward to watching how they do this year, but we're going to switch gears now to girls basketball. So let's take a look at your full Class A girls basketball power rankings, Jody. Here it is. You have Davies and Century at 1 and 2. Mandan, Shanley, and Devils Lake also crack your top 5. How'd you come up with these 5?
Well, let's start with Davies, and actually let's take a look at their opening game, which happened last night in Moorhead. The Eagles took on the Spuds, who are led by Nebraska commit Sam Hybe. There she is. So 2 of the best teams in the region. Hybe put on a show. She is such an awesome talent. She scored 41 points and went over 2,000 points for her career. If she was in North Dakota, she'd be the best player in the state. In fact, she might own that title in Minnesota. But give Davies credit because this was a great game. They lost by 2, 75-73. Reagan Lindster, their top returning scorer, scored 25 points. Remember, the Eagles have Carly Kotzik back as well. Grace Geffrey is still working her way back from a torn ACL she suffered last year. Davies is my top team. Century is the number 2 for me. And the Patriots have the player to watch in sophomore Lauren Ware, who's now listed at 6 feet 4 inches entering her sophomore season. Sophomore, yes. She's a big-time recruit. Second team All-State last year as a freshman. She averaged 12 points, 12 rebounds. Those numbers will only go up as she becomes more of a focal point in that offense. Century just beat Mandan 90-77 in the season opener. The Braves, they're really good too. First team All-Stater Megan Zander is back and she's just a junior. Shanley will be in the hunt too. Of course, they always are. Riley Payne and Sierra Berg are back. Payne averaged 15 and 9 as a freshman a year ago. She was terrific last night against Valley City, scoring 21 points in this win. Head coach Steve Jacobson says his girls are hungry after having their state title streak snapped.
You know, they got a little fire in them right now because of last year. I've got 4 starters back. They want a shot again to try and win that championship. And I think as we grow, you'll start to see that middle end of the year.
And I think they already look pretty darn good, Kelly.
All right, well, I would have to agree with you there, but we have one last group to talk about, and that is Class B. And I mentioned that you have Grant County at the top. What do you like about the Coyotes? I like the nickname already.
Yeah, of course you would. This is a team that won Region 5 a year ago, finished 4th in the Big Dance. They have 2 of the best players in the state on the roster. We mentioned them earlier, Alexis Bentz and Taylor Rail. Both averaged double digits in scoring, and the duo combined for over 175 steals. They're going to be tough to play against night in and night out. As we take a look at the rest of my top 5, Langdon Munich is my number 2, with a ton of talent coming back from a 20-win season. Not just that, they'll be coached by Rob Scher, who led Park River Fortville Lincoln to state in each of the last 2 seasons. That sounds like a winning combination. Jordan Worley, a senior guard, averaged over 17 points per game a year ago. She has a good inside-outside game. The Cardinals, they're just going to be tough to beat. Thompson, Rugby, and defending champ Kindred round out the top 5. I'm interested to see how Kindred does. They had a lot of players graduate off last year's championship team and also lost their head coach, Perry Piatz. Their best player this year is an 8th grader. We've been talking about the youngsters, Abby Dukeshire, who scored 10 points in the final quarter of that state title game. That'll be a fun storyline to follow this season. A reminder, if you want to see any of these power rankings, visit midcosn.com. I'll have them posted tonight or tomorrow throughout the season. If you have story ideas, crazy games you want to tell us about, shoot me a message on Twitter or Facebook. Love to hear from you. Kelly?
All right, thank you so much, Jody, our high school expert. He's so good at that stuff. But when we come back, we preview high school basketball in South Dakota with Jason and Dara. You're watching Midco Sports Tonight.
Midco Sports Tonight, presented by Avera Orthopedics.